Have 23. Give everybody another 20 seconds or so. Let's see if we can have at least 25 of you join the debate path. Okay, I guess that's it. We have 22 players. Let's go for it. You guys become a EMI TA because you want to show off your awesome English ability, because the pay is too good to resist, because you're interested in teaching profession maybe in the future, or because you become the TA you wanted to please your instructor, who happens to also be your thesis advisor. Okay. Most of you guys are interested in possibly being a teacher yourself, or some kind of a job or career in the teaching profession. No one wants to show off your awesome English ability, and no one says it's because your instructor gave you the pressure of being one. Well, my TAs actually told me that because I gave them pressure of being my TA. I always told my TAs that they are handpicked. So it just shows that the instructors, if they ask you to become their TAs, it's probably they have really good faith in you, and they think that you're good in terms of communicating or with the students, or in terms of the content knowledge level. And the pay is too good to resist. So I don't know about how good is your pay being a TA at Chengda. I would want to know. That would be and it's a great incentive. All right, so you come from most of you guys are interested in some kind of teaching. So hopefully the rest of the workshop and sessions will be discussing some of the real world, real classroom scenarios that through the discussion will be helpful for your future teaching. All right, next question. Lauren, currently taking the lead. The course instructor is my boss, my collaborator, or my mentor, or instructor is always right. So the answers are very like spreading throughout 4. Okay, so by now, well, I said the instructor is always right. That is not right. This Kahoot is designed as a fun game for us to all warm up, and some of you get whatever he or she wants. Want to please, well, not really please, but to show that, I have a good work performance because they're my boss. And they're actually quite a few. Well, most of you said you guys, the two of you, TAs and the instructor, or your boss, or your mentor, you are in a collaborative relationship. That is the healthiest relationship between ATA, teaching assistant, and the professor or the instructor. Only when there's a good relationship between the two would there be good results. So, perfect. Next question. Lauren still taking the lead. The students are to cover the instructor. So your students they're your customers, or again, they are also your collaborators, your mentees, or your best friends forever. Yes, best friends forever. A lot of research on TA's relationship with the students. They're talking and they're exploring the idea of having friendship or making friends or be friends with your students. Most of the research and most of the study has suggested not to. They are not our best friends forever. But definitely we wanted to provide and we wanted to offer a very friendly environment, have friendly attitude, supportive attitude, or a supported environment, so that the students are, they can feel they are encouraged to come to us and tell us their questions or problems or whatsoever. There have been voice and there have been studies wondering whether or not the 21st century universities are treating the students as customers. Not so much, but they're not paying in a way, they're not directly paying us to buy a product or to buy service. However, I think the idea or the concept of treating or seeing the students or, seeing the students or participating in the class as a customer is to let them feel that their needs are met and their request or their questions be answered and their voices be heard. So that's more like collaborators and mentees. However, there's sometimes I told my TAs that they are be good to your students. Just think of their customers, but I don't want you to treat them as your customers. However, we can borrow some of the customer service attitude when we are dealing with the students, when we are having kind of interactions with our students. So great. My BFF, I think you guys are super friendly with the students. That's awesome. Next. Lauren. Still on top of the chart. Right. Students receive drawbacks of EMI classes. The content learning and discussion are discounted due to the language limitation, efforts spent to decode the language barriers. It's so much, too much. The instructors, they have poor command of English, they affect the overall learning, or EMI TAs are distractingly cute. I think all of you should choose this answer. The EMI TAs are distractingly cute. So that is one of the biggest drawbacks of EMI. Okay, so I've actually, to prepare for today's talk and today's work with you guys, I informally surveyed all of my EMI TAs, and they shared their ideas or their experience with the student perceived drawbacks of EMI classes, align pretty much with what the research had said. The content learning or the discussion are discounted because of the language barriers. They feel like they have to translate. They feel like they have to, spend extra time, which is the yellow answer. It feels like the effort, the time, the energy to translate, quote unquote, translate the textbooks, or just to translate or synchronous translate or interpret what the instructor has said in class or the TA has said in class. Due to my own English barriers or my own limited English abilities, is just too much and too exhausting. And sometimes there are the instructors, or he or she had a thick accent, or just not really having a comment of English that I understand or I'm used to. Everybody has accents. I have accents. Even we people who perceive themselves as native speakers or really good English as the first or the strongest language, all have accents. It just the use of English, or the pronunciation, or the command of English is just not how I am used to. It may be too fast. It may be too blurry. It may be too complicated or too complex of a sentence. So that discount how the overall learning, quality of learning in this class. Okay, so there are basically three major concerns or three major perceptions from students in terms of how they perceive a EMI class, which also means those are the difficulties and challenges perceived by students. Yeah, Lauren is on fire. Now the question is, instructor perceive issues of EMI. I need to spend extra time preparing for the class. Yes, I always feel that way. My course evaluation is being impacted a lot of time, negatively impacted or influenced because of the EMI. Is it unfair for the students? And my EMI TAs are intimidatingly smarter than I am. Good for you guys. All of you got the good answers. The perfect answer is TAs are just smarter and they are just super cool than the instructors. Okay, so the most of the research has revealed the major issues with the instructors that has to transfer or transform from offer a class in the language, in his or her native language, strongest language, to using a second language, in our case is in English, is challenging and difficult. Not everybody, everyone is thinking that's the right direction and that's the nation's or our country's policy or initiative, one of the most important initiatives. But how to get there? It's a lot of problems and a lot of the issues in terms of getting there. Extra time. I used to be able to just finish preparing my notes, finish preparing my PowerPoint and my lecture. I can spend maybe 2 hours. Now I have to translate or transfer everything. I need to spend extra time, maybe twice or sometimes 3 times the time to prepare. And some of your instructors, and I know, I sometimes have to do this to write scripts and just to read or memorize the script in order to conduct the class. And that discount the presence of how I handle myself in class, and that it appears to be not as confident as when I am conducting the class in Chinese. And maybe students are not perceived, they don't perceive me as sufficient, or as they probably disrespect me or discounted how they view me as the experts in the field, because I just don't have the right language to communicate or to kind of transmit the content knowledge. So a lot of the perceptions in terms of the drawbacks that the professors are concerned, and they are worried about their course evaluation. They're worried about the students not really getting what they are here for, which the purpose or the goal is for them to learn content knowledge. But this is not a language class, right? So, but you guys are right. Intimidating is smarter than the professors. Yes. So we have Lauren still taking the lead. This is our last question. When students tell you that they didn't understand the instructor or they didn't understand the class content, you will help them. You offer a little bit Chinese. You refer them to, hey, you can, borrow my notes and, go watch some YouTube clips, or you just get pissed. Of course. No. Okay. And most of you got the correct, and I think is the smart solution, is to help the students with simpler or other way, alternative expression in English. And the other two answers offer a little bit Chinese, a little bit the other language to help them explain just the key or just the difficult concepts from my EMI user problem. For the students in your class, and they are hoping for you to give them, even though they're not your customer, they're not our customer, they're not our clients, but they do feel like, hey, you have to take good care of me. I am, you're my TAs, and I want you to take good care of me. It's sort of like a client, like a customer's kind of a relationship. They think you guys have good English ability, and they would hope not only that you have taken the course before or the content knowledge, but also you have, from the student's point of view, TAs are like, they are the people. They are those really smart people that they have the insights to course materials. When we talk about insights, it's not only the content, but do you know all the other things that related and connected to the course, to the content? Maybe is how many quizzes and the difficulty levels of the quizzes, how in terms of the professors' personalities, in terms of the professors' presence and persona, how they the styles of the course, the style of the professor. So all those are insights are not listed on the syllabus and not expressed explicitly by the instructor. So they are hoping to gain some insights only the TA have, because TA are in this position that they perceive that you guys have good relationship with the professors, and you have a good relationship with the course content, and therefore you have a good insight, and you can provide them with insightful information and give them like hints or tips in terms of how to get good grades for this course, right? And you guys are viewed as helpful messenger. So they have just like the professors are seeing the TAs as friendly gatekeeper, but the students are like, hey, we have problems, we have questions, we want to make a request. They will tell you, they will speak to you instead of talking directly to the professors, because for whatever reason they feel it's more intimidating to talk directly to the professor, and you are in the middle. You're not the middleman, but you're like a messenger that they want you to and voice for them. So I think from those like expectations from your professors, from the course instructors, and the expectation from the students, and you can find, I wrote it here, the edge is how do you handle yourself, and in terms of persona, how you want to establish yourself as that very helpful, that very friendly, that great TA is your friendly gatekeeper, your very helpful messengers. So you can choose and kind of like put together a portfolio for yourself in terms of being what kind of TAs that you want it to be. All right. The UC Berkeley, one of the very famous UC Berkeley department, they have this title of TALC. It's the astronomy learning center that they have invented or developed a very special TA development or TA sessions, is how the TA can work with the students. If you want, you can Google and search the Tao of TALC, and you will find you can find quite a lot of information on that if you're interested. I didn't go to Berkeley, so I don't have a personal experience with the TALC method in terms of good TAs, but here is a list of the job, like the main job duties for a good TAs. So I think we can take a look what the UC Berkeley has said about their TAs. So TAs, you guys teach. So you are a teaching profession now, right? You're a TA, so you teach. And some of you grade papers, and you help your professors to evaluate students, maybe their midterm, maybe their quizzes. Sometimes it's big project or homework assignments. So you evaluate your students' performance. You evaluate how they perform and how, in terms of their course and academic performance achievement in the course, right? So it's you teach and you evaluate. And the provide context. So I find this is very similar to the last slide, what I said or what I've shared, is you have insights. So the context is not only the textbooks, it's not only the knowledge, the solid knowledge from the content, from the subject of the course, but you can provide them with the context of this course. The context include the professors, the habits of the professors, the style of the course, the rhythm of the course, the pace, and the expectations of the professor. So you have more context or contextual information and insights that you can provide. So the UC Berkeley also said a good TA will provide students with context of the course. And what do good TAs do? Not only teach, they not only evaluate, they not only provide context. They a lot of times like a mentor. They're doing a lot more than just classrooms, regular classroom duties, regular classroom responsibility. They counsel the students. So when they are in trouble, when they have bad grades, when they feel like they're failing the course, they have issues and they will come to you. So it's counsel them, and you become a counselor sometimes, and you will assume the hat. You will wear the hat of being a counselor. Sometimes you will have to comfort the students. You will have to help them. Things with other things maybe not directly related to the course. And a good TA motivate the students. They encourage the students. You're setting a good models, right? You are very smart, like you guys said. You're intimidatingly smart, and sometimes maybe smarter than the professors. I think the other way to define what does it really mean by smarter than the professor is you guys are more relatable to the students. So that is a very important, and that is your niche. And I think that is the edge of being an EMI TA is because age in terms of generations, you're so much closer with your students. You know how they suffer from the course, and you have experience that is more relevant, that is more relatable than the professor. So your students will treat your encouragement more seriously. They will treat that your encouragement, your motivational, or your action, your comforting, your counseling, as it's more, they can take it from you because they feel like you are a more relatable, more achievable role model in the course. So you guys are really important. In addition to teach, in addition to evaluate and grade, in addition to provide context and give them insights of the course, you counsel and you motivate them. The last thing that UC Berkeley had said they have wanted or expect a good TA to have is they can be the advocate for the students. So the advocate is the other way around, right? When students have questions, when students wanted to make a request, they will go to you instead of go directly to the professors. So you advocate for them, meaning that you understand. You have a more personal experience and more relevant and more like near kind of experience, not like in an ancient time or many years ago. You're more relevant and you feel the student's pain, or what exactly does that they stuck in the questions, or stuck on some of the concepts or ideas. So you can advocate for them. Maybe it's to request a retake of the exam, maybe is to ask for more time for the homework, or something else. You are thinking, you're positioning yourself as not the BFF, it's not exactly the BFF of the students, but you are advocate and you are there to set students up for success. That is what a good TA is, in terms of the quality that UC Berkeley had said. And I added, they haven't mentioned this, but I added the last one is a collaborator and then liaison. So you are, just like we have said in the previous slides, you're in the middle between the professor and the students. So you are the collaborator with your professors, with your boss. A lot of times you also collaborate with the students, and you're serving as a liaison between these two. So a good TA is if you teach and you evaluate and you provide insights and context, and you, in addition to those regular kind of duties in classroom, and you counsel, you comfort the students, you motivate them, you encourage them, you serve as a good role model, something that is achievable, proximal, right? The distance is something, it's not like a professor level, it's not like an instructor's level, it's not like, down the road in many years, but it's something there. Your graduate assistants, your research assistant, your teaching assistant, you are there, and you can advocate and motivate the students by being closer to them, and you can advocate for students to help set them up for success for the class. All right, and I wanted to play a Would You Rather. This is a warm-up for the following activities. So we have, I want to show you two clips, and then after watching these two clips, I will randomly group you guys, and then so you can start to, kind of like test out and warm up in terms of group discussions, and you can discuss with other TAs in your groups, would you rather choose one? Okay, would you rather to sit in the classroom with the first type of teacher and first type of scenario, or I'd rather to have a professor or a teacher for the second scenario? So I'm going to show you, and after these two, and I will group you guys into smaller groups, and then you can have a little bit time to discuss, and then we'll come back and we'll share and we'll hear what some people have got to say about these two clips and your decision. Would you rather? Which one would you rather? All right, the first one.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the, anyone? The Great Depression, passed the, anyone? A tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which anyone raised or lowered, raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government. Did it work? Anyone? Anyone know the effects? It did not work, and the United States sank deeper into the Great Depression. Today, we have a similar debate over this. Anyone know what this is, class? Anyone? Anyone seen this before? The Laffer curve. Anyone know what this says? It says that at this point on the revenue curve, you will get exactly the same amount of revenue as at this point. This is very controversial. Does anyone know what Vice President Bush called this in 1980? Anyone?
So that was the first option. And would you rather sit in the class or the second? All right, so you have two choices. Would you rather sit in a class with the first scenario, anyone, and or would you rather to have a course style that is you have some silly ass names? The second scenario. So I am going to break you guys into 5 groups. Okay, into 5 groups, and you're randomly assigned by the computer, by WebEx, your group members, and you will be talking and make a decision out of the two. Which one would you rather to sit in? Which class would you rather to be in? Okay. And then after this, we'll come back and I will ask you for your thoughts. Why you're choosing the anyone, or why you were choosing the some silly ass names, and tell us the reasons why you choose one over the other, or the grade, not the grade, I'm sorry. Why do you think the anyone had some benefits or some good you can find out of that kind of teaching styles, or you see the some silly ass names, that type of course, that type of instruction, you feel okay, so why think that is doable, that is workable, something that you feel you can take out of that class. So you choose one. Which one would you rather? And then you share with us what are some of your thoughts about your choice. Okay, so I am going to let's break into groups, and I'll give you a little bit time to discuss. Yes. welcome back. That was just a warm-up activity. We'll have more discussions like that. But do we have some decisions in terms of one or two? Anyone? Do we have a volunteer from group one? Group one, what is your decision and why? Who is group one? Okay, I don't know either. That's fine. I don't know either because I randomly assigned using the WebEx. So any group, anyone wanted to share with your decisions and why, and the reasons why you choose that scenario. No?
Hi, Professor.
Yes, hi.
How are you?
I am good.
Good. I'm from group 3,
Is
I
it
believe.
Chongsen?
Yeah.
Yes.
My English name is Zach.
Zach. Hello, Zach. Your name is exactly my EMI TA. I have 2 TAs named Zach.
Really? Okay.
Hello, Zach.
Hi. Yeah, so our group discussed it a bit, and we came up that we would rather sit in the class 1, because although
anyone.
right, anyone, because it is rather boring, but it gives the students an opportunity, if they actually do know the answer, to raise their hand and answer and show what they know. And then the second one, we were kind of saying it's similar to foreigners coming to Taiwan. You're given like a Chinese name, so it might be like a new name for you. And if you use your own name, people might not be able to pronounce it correctly. So you prefer to use your Chinese name sometimes. But so that would be kind of like coming to Taiwan, except the professor's attitude. Like our experience here in Taiwan has said that professors normally are very nice. And even if you prefer to use your foreign name, they will try and make an effort, and they won't get upset at you for not using your Chinese name. So
Right. Shongsen, you're absolutely correct. Like most of the professors in Taiwan, our experiences are no one would like that guy,
right.
that one. That is you haven't been in my class. No. Thank you so much, and I think you've helped us pointed out a couple of really good points. Those are dramatic skits, right, from movies, and I wouldn't say impossible, but we don't get to see I don't think we will see the scenario number 2 that often or any, if any, at all in Taiwan. Because it's a cultural, in our context, we tend to be polite and keeping it very professional. It does happen from time to time, and I have encountered numerous times when I have international students, both myself and my TAs have trouble pronouncing their names. The Shongsen, what would you do in that scenario if you don't the name of your students? You don't know how to pronounce that.
You could probably try and pronounce it, and then say, "Hey, like, am I pronouncing it correctly, or could you teach me how to say it?"
Perfect. Yeah, I use the exactly same strategy, and the way how you frame the question. Can you teach me how to correctly pronounce your name, or do you have a preferred? How would you prefer to be addressed in class, or how would you prefer to be addressed in this review session, in our homework session in this lab? I would want to call you by a name that you feel the most comfortable with. Yeah, so just go ahead and directly ask them. I usually ask them in class. It depends. I will observe the students. If mostly I've never encountered any students are too shy to respond to that questions. But if I have a roster ahead of time, and I got students, I have office hours, then I can ask them privately. But the second scenario, I think a lot, we have 5 groups. I think a lot of groups that would say, well, scenario number 1 is better. And Xiongsun, you have mentioned a very good point. Culture-wise, it's rather boring, right? Anyone, he seems just reading off of, directly just giving all the answers. There was almost like no interactions. There was no Q&A. There was no engagement. And you see the class atmosphere is just completely flat. But sometimes it worked, and my TAs and my personal experience for classrooms in our culture, in our society, and in our context, that is not always perceived as flat or as extremely boring. For a lot of students coming from a certain culture or background, they would actually see that kind of instruction or help that's just direct. Right, it's very direct. You give me the answers. You tell me where to look for the answer, where to look for information, or just flat out just tell me how to do this homework or how to like what the knowledge is. It's very direct. No waste of time. It's straightforward. So it worked in some culture, and I would say some probably quite a few of our own classrooms in Taiwan would not treat number 1 as something horrible, as something oddly boring. It's just acceptable. So when it is acceptable and it is comfortable for your students, so maybe that is a option. Number 2 scenario, some silly ass names. I think it's a very dramatic. It's a super high dramatic skit. I would say. However, the whole thing, if I have to say the advantage or the bright side of that teacher is he was rather animated. The classroom, he doesn't have really good classroom management, but the takeaway I got from that scenario is when you are a super animated person, and you have really like dramatic kind of performance, that does attract students' attention, even though that one was not a professional and not a good choice and not a good performance at all. However, it does make me feel like I'm a very animated person, and sometimes I exaggerated my expression or exaggerated my the sentence or communication with my students, just so that I can grab their attention, just so that I can stir up the atmosphere, just so that students, when they have maybe 70% or 80% of anyone like flat and very direct kind of sessions or a class with me or with my TA, and they would, have like ups and downs. It just versatile, the whole class. So there's no right or wrong answer, but I'm glad that you guys had this opportunity to discuss with your group members. And so I know it worked, and this is just to warm up because I have something prepared more for you. And so I know there are international TAs in our group, and there are TAs that are local students and Taiwanese students. So I have 2 scenarios here. And the first scenario is for international TAs. The international TAs, here's the story. So you and these are the real situations that have happened with my EMI TAs. So I'm sharing with you the true stories that happened in my classroom. Okay, my international TA has had encountered this. So you and a few students are in the same club or organizations, and this club and organizations, you guys are friends, and you hang out sometimes in campus-wide events or some social events. They are your students, you're their TAs for this course, and they jokingly ask you for special help on what maybe on the final exam, or can you give us a hint, because this is what they said. Hey, you're my people. we got to take care of each other, especially when we are far away from our home country. So international TA, international students, and they ask you for this kind of special help. The scenario number 2 for our local TAs, the midterm was very hard. And during the review session, you are working with your students to review the exam, and you found yourself having struggles with correct answers too, right? Even though all the TAs are incredibly smart, but it was a difficult midterm, and you yourself struggle with some of the questions. So the students, they noticed because they're very observant, and they were not happy. They were not happy about why the instructor gave such a difficult test. And they seemed to be mad at you as well. Why didn't you tell the professor that even you, the TA who supposedly know all the content and are very familiar with the course, you didn't even, you yourself even had trouble with the midterm, so they challenge you. And they kind of they have questions about your credibility in terms of being their TA for this course. So we have 2 scenarios. I'm going to, again, randomly group you, and you can discuss with your group members in terms of how you would react to, how you would respond to these 2. Five groups. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. A last question. Last scenario, last group work. Zach, 熊森同学, to appreciate and honor your participation and your involvement. So I forgot to tell you that, hey, I said, right, I have prizes prepared for you. So Shozan, you got a set of limited edition masks from our university and from my office. Okay, now the international TA scenario and Taiwan TA scenario. Do we have volunteers wanted to share what you have discussed in your group and how I was in some of the groups I sneaked in and wow, you guys have actually great discussions and great ideas about how you respond and how you would react to scenarios like that. Anyone want to take the volunteer yourself and say a little bit about international TA scenario? International. I think I have heard 军联吗? Or, sorry for that 军联. Okay. Julian, but do you want to open your mic, turn on your mic, and maybe share a little bit of your discussion on the international TA? Yes, sure.
Hi.
Julian, yes.
Hi. Can you hear?
Hi.
Okay.
Let's talk about the international TA scenario.
So from what
Why didn't you help your own people?
discussed,
Right? You should help the own people. We're coming from the same country.
I mean, but then it's kind of like, I mean, if let's say the professor found out, then we'll all be in trouble.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's also not fair to the other students
It's not fair for the rest of the students
who actually work hard. Yeah.
to actually work hard, right? Equally hard.
Yeah, for the exam. Yeah, and I guess at the end of the day, I feel a little bit guilty, and also like it's not right.
Why do you feel guilty?
I mean, because like it's kind of like a breach of work ethics. Yeah, and
So,
trying to go against your moral ethics.
wow, Julian, you really have very high standard of moral. Kudos to you. So, is there any creative way that we can address your people's request at the same time, not break the gold standard of being a responsible and fair TA to everybody?
I mean, if let's say, that they really do need help, let's say they didn't do that well in the exam for previous exams. I mean, maybe you could let them know like, oh, this topic might come out.
That's smart. Yes.
Just be a little bit vague.
You don't give out what's on the next quiz, but you can help them with, previously, I can help with the previous quiz, and we can work on the questions. We can work on, some of the problems that you did wrong last time. So this is a fair help. That this is okay, and you can also, by helping them individually or helping them in separate from the whole group. But after you help them, you can address this. Hey, you know what? A couple of our classmates did ask me this questions, and I think that sounds like a potential question to be on our professor's next exam. So why don't you can actually open it up to tell everybody and say, well, that looks like a potential question. So it is you do spend time with your people, with the students who want some extra help, but at the same time you open up to the whole class and being fair and like being kind of friendly and helpful to everybody, because that's exactly what a TA is for, right? It's to be helpful and to help everyone and set everybody for success. All right. Anybody wanted to take on the Taiwan TA scenario?
Hello, teacher. I would like to
Hi.
share my opinion. Okay,
You
so
are Liao.
Albert.
Liao.
Heng Yao. Yeah.
Liao
and
Heng Yao. Hi. Hello, Heng Yao.
So, I mean, as a TA, I think that TA has the role of being the communication channel between the professor and the student.
Yes,
So,
the liaison. Yes.
yeah, and this scenario that might be our fault since that we didn't adjust the problem immediately. So maybe I would suggest the professor to change the average percentage for the midterm taking part in the all grades for the semester, or suggest another kind of solution for professor to offer some optional report bonus points, homework for students they really need the higher grades to pass the whole classes, so they can take more effort. So maybe kind of optional homework to get a bonus point. Yeah.
Heng Yao, I want to be in your class. I want to be your students because you are so nice. What we have said previously, being an advocate for your students, right? What you have just said, what you have just shared, your thoughts and possibly what you would do for your students is to advocate for their needs. So perhaps if the exam or the quiz was too hard, even Heng Yao, I couldn't, I'm the TA. I couldn't even overcome I couldn't even get everything right. That could possibly be it was too hard. It was too challenging, was too difficult. Perhaps you would, you take it on your own shoulders and then you go back to the professor and communicate with the professor. You advocate for your students and to seek possible solutions or alternatives from the professor. So you are great TA. I give you yes, for being such a helpful TA for your students, being an advocate for your students. So let's move on to the next one. The next, I'm going to again show you a short clip. You are being challenged by students. That's all that we talk about. You're either being asked for, can you give me a special favor? You're being challenged by your students, and you are like, oh dear. So this is an oh dear situation.
Good. Now, who can tell me why Jem cries when the hole in the tree is filled with cement?
Because she's a crybaby?
Get out.
Okay. And the clip not necessarily is a students challenging the teacher or challenging the TA, but is the students, sometimes they would ask a question that we don't know how to respond, as a questions that I don't have the correct answer, or you can tell the students are not exactly challenge your authority or not exactly challenge your credibility, but perhaps the students have the need to, like show him or herself as the funny guy or the funny gal in your class, or just try to, because they don't have the correct answer, they don't have the correct or the proper response, so they would choose some other ways to respond to the question or to kind of like create a scene or something. So how do we? When we face students asking a request or special request or challenge,